Hello everyone, Latin here with another Go Battle video. Today I'm using a couple of Pokemon that were popular in the early days of PvP but haven't been getting much use lately. So I put this team together to see how they'd match up against the current meta. In the lead I have Medi, once everyone's favorite fighting type. It's carrying Counter and Dynamic Punch and Ice Punch. I prefer Dynamic Punch over Power Up Punch because Counter does so much damage on its own, and with Dynamic Punch you can surprise your opponents, and of course Ice Punch gives it that extra coverage it needs. Second, I have Bastio, once everyone's steel type of choice before Registeel came on the scene. It's carrying Smackdown, Flamethrower and Stone Edge, and in the back, Azumarill. A favorite from the start and still a very good choice to put as a closer for your team. And going into our first match here, what's an appropriate way to start with the old school psychic fighting type Medi facing off against the new school psychic type with fighting moves, Defense Deoxys. And this matchup is so close, it really comes down to how well the charged moves work, because both Pokemon resist their fast moves, which is Counter. And I'm just going straight Ice Punch here and hoping to surprise the Deoxys in the end with a Dynamic Punch and hopefully win the matchup. And there we go, Medi showing Defense Deoxys how it's done. It goes down, out comes the Umbreon. So having to choose which Pokemon to line it up with, I choose my Azumarill, the Fairy typing resisting the Umbreon's Dark typing, and Last Resort doesn't do that much more damage, I don't have to worry about that. This team actually gave me a 4 out of 5 result in this set. And the trick is really about lining up the Pokemon properly, especially that Bastio, and keeping it away from Pokemon like Registeel and fighting types like Toxicroak. But that's why I paired it up with the Azumarill in the back, because Azumarill can handle those Pokemon. And I've sped up these matches a little faster than I usually do, because having so much these bulky Pokemon in the back, Bastio and Azumarill, these matches usually get drawn out. They get really drawn out. And I absolutely cannot take a Hydro Pump. Bastio cannot take a Hydro Pump from this Azumarill, so winning the match was really dependent on getting those shields properly, shielding those Hydro Pumps. And as you can see with that bubble damage, that Azumarill bubble damage really isn't doing that much to Bastio, even though it's super effective. It's because Bastio is so tanky. And here it is going up against two of the tankiest Pokemon in the current meta, Azumarill and Umbreon. But a Bastio with 2 shields is a force to be reckoned with. It out-bulks the both of them. And it manages to win the game for me in the end here against 2 of the tankiest Pokemon right now. Going into this second match, what are the chances? What are the chances of this happening? Medi showdown. This one is carrying Power Punch. My opponent chooses to use it first because he's planning to do extra damage with, I'm guessing, his Ice Punch. Yes, with Ice Punch. I'm just going straight Ice Punch. And I really want to win this initial matchup so that I can line up my other 2 Pokemon in the back. Especially if he has a flying type, I want to line up the Bastio with that flying type. And as his Medi goes down here, let's see what he brings out. It's a Victory Bell. And it's a good thing I won that matchup, because I can distance that grass type from my Azumarill, bring out the Bastio. Although it's going to take neutral damage, the steel resists the grass, but the rock takes super effective damage from it, and Victory Bell does so much damage, has a very high attack stat. which is kind of countering my Bastiodon's bulk right now. So let's see how this plays out. It actually takes down my Bastiodon, but that's okay because it only had a sliver of life left. My Azumarill came in and took it out with just 1 or 2 bubbles. And it faces off now against another Bastiodon. What are the chances of that? Another person having Bastiodon and Medicham on their team as well. But this is a very favorable matchup for Azumarill. The Hydro Pump takes out that Bastiodon in no time at all. In this third match, I face up against a Whiscash. It should not be a problem for my Medicham, this Whiscash. I have Ice Punch, which does a super effective damage against it. I choose to go Dynamic Punch. Usually people don't shield the first attack, so I simply went for the one that did more damage. And they did not shield it, very good for me. Because you have to look out for Whiscash and how fast it can spam those Mud Bombs. Down it goes. And I use this Ice Punch immediately on the Altaria. It shields very good. I get one of their shields and I can line up this Bastiodon with the Altaria. Now comes the Cherrim. I don't have to worry too much about those Weather Ball attacks. They're fire type attacks, but then they're not stab, and they don't do much damage against my my Bastiodon because of its tankiness. It's the Solar Beam I have to look out for. Although it'll do neutral damage resisted by the steel. And with this last flamethrower here, this Cherrim will go down, leaving the Altaria at the mercy of the Bastiodon, and my opponent just gives up. I don't blame them. This matchup here is really favorable, Bastiodon versus my fighting type, so they switch into Toxicroak and I don't have a choice but to switch to my Azumarill. That Toxicroak's counters will do super effective damage against the Bastiodon. So I must distance it from that Toxicroak. Going straight for the Hydro Pump, taking it out. They bring in the Shadow Victory Bell. This Pokemon does so much damage. And against my Bastiodon, it will do neutral damage. Although I think Bastiodon can power through it because being a Shadow Pokemon, the Victory Bell will take extra damage because of it. And once this Victory Bell goes down, it's all over for them because that leaves their Bastiodon at the mercy of my Medicham, so they give up immediately. Now this is the match I lost. I'm putting it in to show the mistake I made. I got a little greedy. So it starts off, they bring out their Azumarill, I switch into my Azumarill. And their Azumarill is running Play Rough, which puts it at an advantage to mine, running Ice Beam and the Hydro Pump, both of which are resisted. But I need to win this secondary matchup here to line up my Pokemon properly. And I could have if I didn't make a mistake here. So we're both low on HP. Alright, I decide to use one of my shields to try to win the matchup. And I could have actually used that Ice Beam there. I had enough to use the Ice Beam, but I decided to go for the Hydro Pump even though I did not need to. And their Azumarill takes me down and I am at a shield disadvantage. I still managed to put up a good fight. My Medicham having energy stored up, I can get off these 2 Ice Beams and force the shields from my opponent's Haunter. Now they have no shields, I have one. But the Haunter, I decide to let my Medicham go and let the Bastiodon power through this Haunter and build up some energy. Unfortunately, they have a Registeel in the back, and all this Registeel needs to do is get off one Focus Blast onto my Bastiodon, and it'll take double super effective damage. The fighting against the steel and the rock typing. But this was a very good set from an old school team, Medicham, Bastiodon and Azumarill. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future videos.